Did you know n8n just introduced its official MCP node, and it is going to make n8n act as an MCP server. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to use this MCP node to make n8n work as an MCP server. Let's get started.
Okay, so if you go to their community website, they recently announced that they launched MCP client tool and MCP trigger nodes as an official node for n8n. So the MCP client tool will allow you to use a lot of MCP servers in n8n itself, and then MCP Server Trigger node will make n8n work as an MCP server. So it's a very interesting thing that they develop, and since it's official, I think it is going to kind of open a lot of doors for n8n. Now, let's go to the n8n console. So if you want to use this node, if you search MCP, you can see there is an MCP Server Trigger node. This is the community-based MCP client node that I installed before, but now they have already an official one. Some people will not find this MCP Server Trigger node in the server because they probably have an older version. You need to at least make sure you have version 1.8.88. So if you see, this is the latest version 1.86.1, and this is the latest version 1.88.0, the pre-release version, which has these two features launched. Now let's go back to n8n and let's create our first MCP server using n8n. For this tutorial, I'm going to use this production URL because it is going to be very basic MCP server. So you just create that and then go to tools. Let's add a calculator tools. Okay, now you have this calculator tool. So yeah, that's it. Now you have an MCP server that does some form of calculations using this calculator tool. Now you have to go to a host application, and you can use Cursor or any other host tool for MCP. We're going to use Claude, and we're going to connect this n8n MCP server using Claude. So now open Claude, go to their settings page, and in a developer mode, you will see an edit config. Go to that section. So it will open one file called Claude desktop config.json. Open that file. If you open that file, probably you will be seeing an empty JSON file. Now, first thing, we have to paste this JSON file in this Claude desktop config JSON file. I'm going to paste this JSON file in the description so you can use this. So if you see over here, you have n8n as a server, npx command, some arguments, and if you see over here, you need to replace it with your MCP server URL. So let's go to n8n, use the production URL. You can use test, but we're going to use production for this. You copy this URL, and if you replace this URL with that URL, make sure it's MCP test or production. So right now we're using MCP production, so this is the valid URL. Now, before checking if things are working or not, what I want you guys to do is go to your terminal and run this command npx. So basically this is the command npx followed by space argument y, then the next argument is super gateway over here itself, then space next argument is sse, and then the URL of this MCP server trigger. Why I want you to do this is you have to make sure your MCP server is running or not. So if you do this, if you see connecting to SSE, it says server is listening, which means that our MCP server is working. So stop this. If you don't do this, maybe there is an error and you don't know what is happening. So if you do that in terminal, at least it will make sure you see some errors over here. You fix that and then do that. So I've saved this. Let's go back to Claude. Close this Claude application. If you're in Mac, Command Q. then reopen it. So now Claude will open and it will I'm not sure what happened, but if you see, Claude opened and there is our MCP tool called n8n, and from server n8n it has a calculator tool. So let's see if this works on how much is 35 multiplied by 60. So if you do this, to calculate 35 blah blah blah. Okay, so now it's computing using this Claude LLM. Let's do the same thing. How much is 35 into 60? Use calculator tool. So if you see, it now uses our MCP and it asks for permission. All of this set. It says running calculator for n8n, and now this is computing the same thing right now using MCP. Of course, this is a basic example, so it doesn't make sense. But if you want to use, let's say, sending an emails and everything that LLM can't do, you can use this kind of MCP server. So instead of connecting to calculator, probably you can connect, let's say, to Gmail tool or something like that to send it. So that's a basic example of how you can utilize MCP Server Trigger that they recently launched to make n8n as an MCP server. So if you need any more details, if you're stuck, just comment and I'll make a separate video to fix those things.